So this is my Barclays presentation, updated for where I am right now and where I'm sort of projected. The brief of what I've done so far. They wanted me to create certain different items for the interactive environment. They wanted me to make laser cutter, vinyl cutters, and 3D printers. And I've also created some different assets for the environment to make sure that it feels fleshed out. So what I've done so far, so since the last presentation, where I showed you like early development and stuff like that, I have made some updates and further developed the assets that I have made. I've created the laser cutter, vinyl cutter, and the 3D printer, and I've made the other environmental assets to sort of flesh it out, so bookcases, chairs, tables. The problem is I've got the laser cutter, the file's corrupted, so I need to remake that as soon as possible. So my 3D printer, so this is the 3D printer I've ended up with. First I had to make sure that it was recognisable, because the original one I felt like it was recognisable but it could get confused in a big environment, etc. And second of all, I needed to make sure that it was open. The last one that I did felt kind of enclosed with the lid, so instead I wanted to make sure that it was an open 3D printer, and when we get it animated and interactive we can see the workings of it a lot better. This is the vinyl cutter. In comparison to what it was with the case with the 3D printer where it had to be open, this one doesn't really need to be open because of the fact that it's more of an internally working machine. So we'll still be able to see what it is that it creates, but we don't need for it to have be a super open sort of machine itself. And like I explained earlier, the laser cutter has corrupted, so I'll need to redo that as soon as possible to make sure that the assets are all there and in a good state. These are the other assets that I've made. I'm making to make some different styles as well, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So I've got the chair, the bookcase, and the table. So these are the other environmental assets. I plan on making a lot more to make sure the environment's fleshed out. These are some of the ones I'm planning to make. Some different types of tables, so like coffee tables, some sort of little side tables, etc. I'm planning to make some couches, so it's more like a homely space. Some plants to sort of vibrate, make it a little bit more vibrant, so it's not a dull area. Printers, because I mean every office has printers, especially one with if you're making plans or whatever, you might be able to or you might want to print them out so the whole team can see them for a scrum or whatever it is. Some sort of meeting booths so that people can get together in their own spaces, and some other little final touches that I'll speak about in the next presentation. So what's next? So as the majority of my assets are now done, I'll be focusing on redoing the laser cutter. Interactivity, so I want to get a working prototype for them of it being interactive so that it works, so that we can see it working in the environment. That's going to be a really hard task, but I feel like it's going to be very rewarding with how good it will be, etc. Furnishings, so I want to speak to Glenn. Furnishings, I wanted to sort of show off what it'll look like. I want it to make sure it's homely, and I want to see that all the furnishings with the chairs, tables, etc. fit in aesthetically. And I also want to look settings in the environment, so I want to make sure that with Glenn, who's doing the sort of the actual layout of the area, I want to make sure with him that it's in the right slots, it fits well, it looks good. But we'll talk about that when it's in Unity. Also, I need to go over changing all my assets to low poly because it won't work in Unity with the higher poly ones I've got currently. So yeah, any questions?